How's it going, everybody? This is your host, Connor. I just want to introduce this map to you guys. This is Shattered Veil. This video is going to be great. It's going to cover a lot of stuff. I think primarily just, the map's atmosphere and the changes. And I'm really excited to get into it. Also, this part of me dying is hilarious. I was pretty upset when I was playing for the first time. It was like one of my first run-throughs of the map. Anyway, I'm rambling on. So, getting into the nitty-gritty, I'm going to talk about the atmosphere. I'm going to talk about changes made in the game, how zombies is kind of war-zonified, if you will, the story, where we're at now, and also my personal gripes. There's a lot of things that I am upset with about this map, and I definitely think that there is a lot of good things too, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot that I'm just not a big fan of, and mainly that's just the whole new system. There's some cool aspects to it, but there's also things that I just don't think align with how zombies works, and that is really the bulk of what I want to get into today. The atmosphere, I was going to talk a little bit about that. The biggest thing, I think, is just how the atmosphere differs from the original games. So I'll get into that as well. And also just kind of talk about what's next in the zombie storyline. There's a lot of stuff that is going to change how zombies is viewed in the future. So without further ado, let's get into Chapter 1. So, as I discussed, Chapter 1 is going to talk about the changes made to zombies. So, I know it's pretty controversial how a lot of the old zombies is played out. But the biggest thing that I think is an issue is just how war-zonified Call of Duty has made zombies. And it's not necessarily just Call of Duty. I'd say it's more on Activision's end because, the Warzone model really pulls in a lot of money. But armor plates drives me nuts. I miss the old hit system where if you got hit, that was it. You get hit and you realize, hey, I got a lot to do. I got a lot to cover. I got to get away from the zombies. Now it is very much not the case. It is so aggravating. I do like the new melee system though. Also a big change because the old melee system you just knife, and now it's made to where not only do you knife, but you can also pull out your melee weapon. You can also upgrade them, and you can just go ham. I mean, if you want to spend a whole game meleeing zombies, you can. It's not the greatest system, but it serves its purpose now, whereas originally it didn't. So that is one change I do like. Another change is high rounds. As you can see here, I do end up dying because I was trying to pause the game or look at something. I can't remember exactly. But when you get into high rounds, a lot of things change from the original way it worked in zombies. Especially in Cold War. In Cold War, you get sprinters, like super sprinters is what they're called, on round 50. And now we get them about round 40. So that is a big change. Another thing is we no longer have the glass bottles. That is now, all the perks are now in soda cans. And I think they did that just to match the era because it now takes place in the 90s. I think when it first started, it took place in the 80s with Cold War. But specifically this map, it takes place in 92. So it's interesting just seeing how they have made changes like that in advance. Other changes are just obviously graphics. Graphics are amazing. Another thing that's been changed is the movement system. And I think that really benefits zombies because in zombies, without that movement system, it's been kind of drab and like you can't really escape from zombies. But with that movement change came the ability for zombies to hit you quicker, and that's something that definitely sucks, but I understand they don't want the player to be too strong. So in chapter 2, I'm going to talk about the atmosphere. Atmosphere is a big thing because in zombies, when you load into a map, you get a first impression, right? In the older version of zombies, we had this thing called, how would you word this? It was interesting take, but when you load into a map, you feel the atmosphere. You feel like, oh man, I could totally piss my pants right now, right? That's how old zombies used to be. You'd have the terror, the horror is what old zombies used to have, and now it's just very much like, oh, you load into a game, you know what to expect. It's a new map, but there's not really all that atmosphere. And I think with Black Ops 6, they tried keying in on that, but the issue is that with all this power that the player is given, you feel a lot less helpless. And in the old zombies, the old systems made you feel very helpless. So, just, in terms of all the changes and what's new, zombies is definitely taking a turn that's not the same. But with that said, Shattered Veil, I think, has definitely done a good job at making zombies feel a little more creepy. It's not super creepy anymore, but I still have those moments where I turn around and I'm like, oh man, there's a zombie. Like, I wasn't expecting that. Also, the new dog rounds, they're not dogs anymore. So what they're called, I think, is just toxic zombies, which I think is kind of a lame name. I feel like they could have done something a little better there. But those rounds really get you because the zombies have a screech, and sometimes you don't know where they're coming from, and they're super fast. That works. All around the map, there's words that are just kind of left around and makes you wonder what's going on. And the atmosphere just it's good, but it could be better. And that's definitely an issue I have. I know other people have the same issue with the atmosphere in zombies, which I hope maybe in newer iterations of zombies they'll change that. Maybe they don't. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm excited for the future of the atmosphere in zombies. I think it'll definitely be a lot better if they keep up this pace. Because, man, when you walk into a room and you see all is lost written in blood on the wall, it's like, oh, yeah, I guess so. Why is that, though? Who wrote it? And that's the question that I have, and that's part of the atmosphere. It's kind of tricky, though, because they could do a lot more with it, but I know right now they probably won't just because of how the new systems are. So with chapter 3, we're going to get into the real juicy stuff. The story of Call of Duty Zombies. Call of Duty Zombies is notorious for having one of the worst stories, in all of history of media, okay? I mean, this story is long, convoluted, complicated. It's just a mess. It is a big mess. And where we're at now is not any better. Because the issue that we're having here is they're backtracking on a lot of stuff. So in the old timeline, we had the original 3 crews. We had Primus, Ultimus, and Victus. Long story short, because I don't have enough time to talk about it right now, but long story short, all these groups were part of the Call of Duty cycle, is what we'll call it. So, they would go to the end of the story and repeat the cycle over again. And it was kind of daunting as the player because it was like, oh man, these characters that we've known and loved for so long just couldn't get out of the cycle. They couldn't break it. And eventually in Black Ops 4 they did break it. We have no clue what happened to Victus because everything zombies related got sent to the Dark Ether. And now zombies is part of the campaign storyline, which is a little confusing in and of itself. I watched another video that said something similar, and it was like, this is just not where zombies should have been. It should have been its own storyline. But now that it's tied in with the campaign, it's cool for me because I love Weaver. Weaver is my favorite character by far. And I think adding him to the story is crucial. But with the ending of Black Ops 4, all of our characters died. Our original zombies characters died, minus Richtofen and Samantha, right? And Cold War is just interesting because they brought both of them back, and we kind of figured that would happen. But Weaver killed Richtofen's wife and son. So the whole plot of Black Ops 6 is that we believe Richtofen is trying to get his son back. We don't know what happened with Samantha, and in this map, it's strictly just Richtofen. This is a very Richtofen-based map, and I love it. I think it's great. The only thing that I would complain about is that I feel like we don't get enough Richtofen screen time. I also haven't completed the Easter egg, so I guess I can't talk too much on it, but it is a little goofy from what I've seen, and I really hope that they kind of take the next map a lot more seriously. I hope we find out what happens to this crew, because apparently this group dies in the future. We have yet to see that, and we don't know how. But I would be really sad if that's how Weaver goes out, because Weaver is awesome. He's the best character, as you can see here. I play with him pretty much all the time. But, yeah, in terms of story, that's where it's heading, and we'll see how that turns out. Now, in this final chapter, I'm going to talk a lot about my personal gripes, things I like and things I wish that were a little bit different. I'm not a big fan of the new augment system. I think it's cool because it doesn't overpower you like it kind of did in Cold War. But also, like, it kind of sucks because it's like, man, this is a part of the perk that I wish I could have equipped with this other part. Because in Cold War, that would have been the case, but in here, it's not. Another thing that kind of upset me about this map is that we don't have a lot of underground area. I was expecting a whole, like, cavern, underground, like a mine system. And it's very small, very limited. It's kind of hard to train in any other room, minus the mainframe chamber. And I just think they could have done that a lot better. I think the atmosphere underground is cool, though. There's parts of, the lab area that's kind of destroyed. In this middle room, we have Samantha Max's, Sam, the Sam AI, so SAM. She's in the middle of the room, and she kind of talks when you're killing zombies, and that's cool. It's fun. It makes me feel a little less alone when I'm playing. So I do enjoy that. But I don't like training in that room because of just how it's laid out. It's a weird round room, but the zombies come from every angle, so it's kind of hard to avoid not getting hit in that room. And I wish they just kind of tone that down a little bit, because it's kind of irritating having them all come from every angle. So another thing that I am like super happy about is the return of double tap. We haven't seen that perk in like 10 years in zombies, and now that it's back, it's magnificent. It's like fine wine, it's awesome to see that return. The new machine is just amazing. The way that when you buy it, it's like saloon doors, and this like robotic zombie comes out and just starts shooting his revolvers. It's like a Western cowboy. And I just think that is like the best way to redesign a perk machine. What I don't like about it, though, is they changed the perk logo to 2 pistols now. It looks kind of stupid compared to like the old logo we had. I was really hoping they would keep the old logo, but I guess, in order to have change, you got to accept the new things that kind of come with that. So it's what it is. We got the Ray Gun Mark II back as well, as long as they keep it. I hope they add it to all maps. I've been hearing that they're gonna. And I think that's cool because then we'll have the ray gun and the ray gun Mark II in the box on every map. But uniqueness-wise, I love that the Wunderwaffe is back and it's only on Shattered Veil. Makes me really happy because that gun is just a zombies staple. You can't have zombies without that gun. Another gripe that I have though is the whole new system. I kind of touched on it back with the changes that are made, but I miss the old Call of Duty zombies format. I miss the horror. I miss the 5 hits with Jug and you're down. It's just not the same when you're able to take multiple hits because of armor. And it's also just not the same that the zombies can reach you from miles away. Miles away. It is so stupid. I'll be across the room and a zombie somehow manages to smack me. And then I gotta put a whole new armor plate in. It's just, it's so stupid. And that's my biggest thing with the whole game. Map-wise, though, other than the basement area, I think it could have used a little more oomph on the horror. I do like what they have, but it's just, for me, not enough. I feel like in this next map, I hope they manage to change that, because it's good, but it lacks that depth that I feel a lot of zombies needs to retain. And once they figure that out, I think it'll be fine. It's not a big issue for me at the moment, just because when I'm playing zombies, I mainly like to just train, right? And that's kind of the point. If the map is very atmospheric, that adds to me wanting to play a map. I definitely think this is my favorite map out of all the maps on Black Ops 6. And I just hope they continue to focus on that horror aspect, because all those bloody words on the walls is fantastic. What's not fantastic is how much that atmosphere is lost. Just to recap, I want to talk about everything that we kind of covered already. I know we talked a lot about my gripes. We talked a lot about the changes, the atmosphere, and just a little bit of the story. If I had more time with you guys, I would definitely cover a lot more of the story and a lot more of my personal gripes, but I don't think we have that time today. Maybe I'll make another video and we kind of look into that a little more. But in terms of Shattered Veil, I think it's a solid map. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 out of all my favorite maps. It's definitely not the greatest map, but just for how different Black Ops 6 and its system is, I can't I can't group it with old zombies because it's not part of old zombies. So it's definitely its own thing now, and that's something that we're just gonna have to get used to. Hopefully they find a way to make the next zombies great. I would be really excited for that. But Shattered Veil does leave us with a lot of questions. I talked briefly about the next map. Apparently the next map is going to be called Janus Towers. Janus is the corporation that Richtofen founded in this universe, so that is all Richtofen's doing. But the Sam AI is trying to resurrect Sam, or Samantha Maxis, and take her body. So the question is, in the next map, is that going to happen, or is that going to happen in a different map? Because we aren't supposed to just end zombies in Season 4. There's supposed to be 6 seasons in total. So I'm wondering if they're planning extra maps, and if they are, that's exciting news, but we haven't gotten any news about it. So it's a little intriguing to me. I hope they focus heavily on showing that they care about the zombie storyline. There's been a lot of attention put into zombies, and I really hope they just keep that going. I really hope they do, because it would make the game just so much more important. But, that's all I have for you guys. Thanks for your time today, and I hope to talk again soon. Thanks for watching.